FM26 is worse than I thought. Now, recently I done this video where I spoke about whether I think Football Manager is good after playing the alpha, and to be honest, overall my feelings was that FM26 is a good game. The more I played it, the more I was enjoying it. But the more I started playing it when the beta access then came out, I'm starting to see more problems, more things that have been like taken out, which have just never been referenced and I'm unsure why. And some things that I really think should have been fixed for the beta that haven't been. And I'm still experiencing more problems with crashes. And I just don't know why this is still happening, and I think Football Manager is a bit of a mess right now. Now, I just want to preface this by saying, yes, we're still in advanced access beta, so we are expecting to have problems. I'm not saying that we're not, but there's so many problems that I think it's like, well, how is this all going to get fixed within a week? Because the 4th of November is when the full game is going to come out. And there was an update on the weekend, and that only caused more problems that I can see for how I was playing, well, from what I see and experience in the game, than actually like things that were fixed. And that's... how have we gone backwards? Now, one of the problems I experienced was me and Dad, where we play our saves, like I will send Dad a save file and then he will open it up on his laptop at home to continue the save so he can do the bits and bobs that he can while I'm carrying on working or I'm out or whatever, and then he'll send it back to me. And we did that for the first couple of days of when the early advanced access beta came out, and then this update came out on Saturday, and now we can no longer do that. He can no longer, we can't load a save that is started from a different PC on somebody else's PC. And other people have been experiencing the same problem. How have we gone backwards within the space of 2 days with one update with something so little like that? Now, again, that's more of a problem that we would experience. Not a lot of people are going to transfer saves onto a different PC or laptop, so you might not really experience that. And hopefully that's a really quick fix. But there's another one where it was like all of a sudden we could not click on our first team from the portal without getting the same crash every single time. And the amount of times that, because we're still getting used to the portal, we would go to click that to look at our first team and have the same crash was ridiculous. And what makes it worse is now that I'm playing it the next day, I don't get that crash anymore. But it's literally all I would do is go squad, drop down, first team, and it would crash. But the day after, it doesn't crash, which worries me more, because if it was still happening, it's like an easy, I can report that bug. But now I can't report the bug because I can't replicate the bug from happening. So what happens there? Now, obviously, the big controversial topic around FM26 is the new UI system, and it's growing on me. There's some things, obviously, that I really dislike. Like, I like the tile system in a way, but I don't like the fact that it only covers parts of the page, and like it's so small that some of the stuff, like, this is pointless because there's 20 teams and I can only see the top 14. But if you just made it full screen, I would be able to see everything and make things just slightly bigger. And there's such a big gap here that, I don't know, there's some things like that I really dislike about the UI, but I think some of the functionality of it is good, some of it is just absolutely baffling, and a lot of the stuff that's like been taken out, that's the stuff that I'm like really puzzled by, I guess. And I guess I've seen a lot of other creators talk about some of the stuff that's been removed from the game and just never reference. For example, have you noticed that deadline day is no longer a thing? Something that I really enjoyed, and when they added it to Football Manager, I was like, oh, this is game changer. It literally changed my content because it was like, you can do so much more on deadline day now that it's worth going to deadline day before we would start a rebuild season. And now it's just gone, and I don't think Football Manager has even referenced it. It was such a good feature. Now, I'll put a post up on Twitter because I was really frustrated, and I don't like doing that much anymore because you just get a load of idiots who reply to you and stuff. But if you are on Twitter and you're not an idiot, then it might be a good idea to follow me, just to follow things that are going on and, you know, just see whenever things happen. But I'll go through a lot of the frustrations that I was seeing on there because a lot of people brought stuff to my attention that, again, I didn't know was in the game. But some of the stuff that was really frustrating me, for example, now, like, I know we're still in early access beta, and I'm telling myself, surely this has got to be fixed before the full release. but it's never had this problem before in early access beta, that I cannot save a game into a folder and I'm stuck in this one folder, which annoyingly for me, the game has somehow just automatically loaded through iCloud and installed through that, so I've got very limited space. So now my folder, which has got all of the save game files of, you know, content, and I please start doing autosaves, which of course I have to do for my stuff anyway, but with the amount of crashes, you should have autosaves on. But now, like, trying to sort out an actual save has become a nightmare, and trying to go through to the point where I'm having to organize like my save folders off and like in my own folders outside of Football Manager, which you shouldn't have to do. And I feel like a lot of people are talking about, oh, they're trying to consolify this game. And at first I was like, no, it's, you know, I listened to what Miles was saying to Jack, and, you know, he wants to be inclusive for everybody, including PC members. But the evidence is really stacking up that this is such a game for console-based players, to the point where a lot of creators are making jokes about, oh, I'm just going to use my controller now because it's really easy to click between instead of the mouse to click between. And I understand that, you know, console-based players was a large part of the Football Manager FM24 sort of period, but the diehards who had played it for over 100 hours, they're probably the PC players, because I very much doubt a lot of people on console, because it was through Game Pass or they were just giving it a try, were really getting into Football Manager long time. And I know that they're sort of looking at that as a business opportunity and going, well, if we make it better for console players, then we will have a game that is longer. And I'm not like, I don't want to be harsh on Football Manager the whole time. It is the best value for money game that I've ever played, especially FM24. Like, the price of FM24 and how like long I played it, it was like 5,000 hours or 6,000 hours, one of the two anyway. But that is mental, because usually I'll play a game for like 20 hours, either get bored of it or finish it. I'm already 20 hours into Football Manager 26, and obviously I've got my money's worth if I paid the £38. But I'm seeing a lot of people who don't even see the value in it, and they're already asking for refunds. And it's because early access beta has only come out on PC, and it really is apparent that this game is really set up for console. I don't know, I might be wrong with that. And again, this is just opinions. I'm really happy to see like comments whether you disagree with me and maybe you like the UI. Like, that's absolutely fine to me. I just don't like it when people are knobs about it and they're sort of like, oh yeah, well, of course it should. Like, I'm just trying to come at it as like a, what is this approach type of thing. I just feel really confused, and the more like I'm seeing things that I'm missing that I didn't realize were missing, I'm a bit baffled, and I'm a bit like not concerned in a way, but I'm just like, why are those decisions being made? But also, why aren't things just being like quality of life stuff just already there? Especially like the save game file or the way you can launch the game. I don't get that at all. Now, one of the big ones that I have been quite vocal about, to be honest, and I really think needs to be changed for the full release, is the ability to change the colors of the attributes. Now, the reason why is I'm struggling to see this. And on FM24, where you could change the colors, I would change from like 10 to 14 to blue, and then I'd have 15 to 20 in green. So that it were two very contrasting colors. Whoever's decision it was to make one yellow and the next one green, because they are too similar, and when the text is really small, I mean, I've got this on the largest scale, and I'm on a 4K monitor, and I'm still struggling. Now, as you can see there, larger, and I'm on a 4K monitor, and I'm still struggling to see what is green and what is yellow. I feel sorry for anybody who's got a laptop. I mean, I was trying to watch my dad play on his laptop, which is, you know, what, a 17-inch monitor, and you can't scale the text any bigger. He could barely see anything. He is dyslexic. He could not tell the difference between the numbers, to the point where he had his glasses on. He was asking me what the attributes were. That should not be happening. There's an option here for colorblind people. That doesn't change it, by the way. You can see it down here. You've got options there. I mean, I even had one turned on. I didn't even realize I had that turned on. But there's a colorblind mode, but there's nothing that changes the attribute colors. That's a joke. That needs to be changed. The main reason why I'm making this video is because I feel like with a content creator with the size of the platform that I've got, if we don't say anything, nothing will get changed. Whereas I feel like just a normal audience or like a normal customer who would just buy that and then just sort of go, I can't play this, and refund their game. Football Manager don't see the problem in that, and like the bugs and stuff that I'm trying to report as much stuff as possible. I have put through about this attribute thing, the attribute colors, twice already, and there's been multiple updates. Well, the beta obviously coming out, and then of course the one that we had on the weekend, the hot fix that we had on the weekend, and that still hasn't been changed to be able to do that. And I've done that twice since, so I don't know what we're going to have to do until they make these changes. But this change needs to be made, because if I'm struggling, I'm sure as hell know that a lot of you guys are struggling. This isn't pretty, it's white hot. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra White Hot Edition is built to handle your most sensitive areas with care, helping reduce the risks of nicks, cuts and irritations where it matters most. Whether you're cleaning things up for a date, good luck by the way, or doing it just for yourself, which honestly, massive respect, look after number one. The White Hot Trimmer makes below the waist grooming a whole lot smoother, and you can join the 12 million other people who have decided to go with Manscaped and trust them, and use code OMEGA for 15% off when you go to manscaped.com. There's a link at the top of the description. And the blades are designed to leave any tugging around that area down to the user, if you know what I mean, and preferably without any sharp tools in their hands. And instead, it's there to help you groom with more confidence with the skin-safe technology. Whether you're using it in the shower or stood over the sink before a night out, the White Hot 5.0 Ultra fits into your day without getting in the way. And let's face it, it's quite a sexy trimmer, it's practical and it looks the part. So remember to head to manscaped.com, use the link at the top of the description if you need to, and use the code OMEGA for 50% off this or anything else on the website. So outside of the stuff that I mentioned, obviously where you can save, I'm having to use my phone because there's so many people that replied that I'm like, right, I'm going to go through and make sure that a lot of these get mentioned that I can't believe is also not in the game. So obviously the ability to where you save the game and the color change of attributes. But do you remember the development list where you could like set a young player to the development list and your director of football would try and find a club to then loan those players to? That's gone, and I don't know why that's gone, because that was such a good feature to be able to loan out a player. You can set parameters. You can set it to, I want them only to play first team, or I want them to be paid like 20% of their wages, and your director of football would go out and locate these clubs that would want those players, and you could get game time for those players. That's not in the game anymore. Similar to enough, the unwanted list. There was a player, if I wanted to sell a player, I would go to a player and there would be an option there on transfer where you could set him to the unwanted list, and again your director of football would try and sell that player for you. Now we've got to go through this really mundane way of either hiring an intermediary to sell a player, offering to transfer him, but every time you do one of those things, you come off of it. I mean, you have to go over here, which is ridiculous anyway. It closes the whole thing again. So if it doesn't go and you can't actually sell a player, you have to go through all the different tabs again. It's more clicks again to find it. And I'll tell you what, that's one of the first times I've seen this page, because the amount of times I've asked to hire an intermediary to sell a player and nothing has come up is about 95% of the time. I'm so shocked that come up when I'm recording this that I honestly feel embarrassed that it's come up, because I felt for sure that it would not come up. I'm going to go to my first team squad, and I guarantee I cannot sell a player that's been here for a long time. Harry Maguire, let's try it. Because surely everybody wants Harry Maguire. He's the best striker in the world who plays at centre-back. No. Desperation, can't sell it. And this is the trouble. You want to sell a player and you're going through, all right, I'll hire an intermediary to sell a player. Nothing. Okay, what can I do now? I have to click again. Then I have to go to transfers. Then offered via transfer room. You cannot just set up like you would be able to in the past, that I found anyway, on an unwanted list. And that was, again, such a good feature. Now what is the point in having the director of football? because he had so many accessibilities that you could ask him to do that a real director of football could do. Then I feel like now they've all been taken away, or they're on something different because of this transfer room, which, don't get me wrong, I like the idea of the transfer room. I'm struggling to make it work where the amount of times I'm trying to sell a player and it doesn't suggest the player I want to go to it, which is like, all right, fair enough. Like, maybe they don't want him, but then it just seems like almost pointless because I'm still really struggling. I've got less options then to sell that player that I actually want to sell. Like, what's the director of football? You could really go without a director of football now and not notice a difference. Whereas before, I felt like the way you could play a game, it was like, oh, you need a good director of football because if you can't sell a player, he can, or he can suggest a good player, or what is the function of him now? Unless I'm just really missing something here. Another couple of quick ones where I'm like, I don't understand why they've made that change. The dynamics page. This is awful in comparison to what it used to be. The pyramid was so much easier. The hierarchy pyramid that was there before was so much better than what this is. Whoever made that decision to change that, I don't know why you've done that. The worst one is the competitions page. I mean, this is bleak, like really bleak in comparison to what it used to be. And when you actually like win something, it's so underwhelming, it's unbelievable. Whereas at least previously on the competition page, you would have like, if you had the trophy there, you would have the actual trophy, or it would come up with like a render of a trophy. And it'd be like, oh, great, you know, runners up, or you've got the, sometimes it didn't even say where you finished in the competition. It just says like it was won by somebody else, and you're like, all right, okay, how did I get on though? And then to find out, you have to like click on it, and then it's so many clicks now in comparison, and to give you such an underwhelming sense of feeling. I feel like it's very lost in terms of that. I think, unless I'm really seeing it differently, but I don't think I am, because a lot of people are kind of agreeing with me. And again, I don't mind if you do disagree with me. This is, again, just me maybe a little venting a little bit, and after playing it this whole weekend and having so many frustrations with it, I'm just seeing more flaws in it because of my mood about the game. Because I have really enjoyed playing it once I've got through those bits that I miss. Like, watching the gameplay has been brilliant. The tactic stuff, like, really enjoying the tactic stuff. The fact that you can be a little bit crazy with it, but if you go too crazy, you get punished for it. But I like the idea that you can have players, you know, like this. I'm trying to make this work into an out of possession like this, and I love that. I think that's great. And the fact that you can see that in a visualizer, like this might be, and this is genuine, I genuinely feel like this might be the best thing that Football Manager has added into the game since... I can't think of anything. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that Football Manager has added that's better than this. And I know it sounds weird, but like as a feature or something like that, I've never had something where I feel like it's impacted everybody so much. You know, there's been some things where it's like, oh, that the person who plays the game that way will love that. You know, the Data Hub, for instance. If you love data, the Data Hub was amazing. Me, not so much. I occasionally dabbled in the Data Hub. I didn't really look at it that often. This, everybody should be using this. Because if you're playing Football Manager and you're creating your own tactic, like, this is the best thing ever. I really do feel like this is the best thing ever. It helps you understand your tactics so much. So again, like, I'm not just hating on the game for the sake of it, because credit where it's due, this is the best thing that I think Football Manager has added, and I cannot remember anything else that's ever been better. All right, now going back to things that were in the game that are no longer in the game. Now, apparently you cannot compare players who are not at your club anymore. So, for instance, you can compare them to, you know, players that you are already at your club that you can see here, but I just clicked on 2 other players and I cannot see and compare them to Pablo Barrios. Now, isn't the whole point of the comparison when you're searching for a player to compare those two players, go, oh, which one should I get? Well, let's see. Vitinha looks really good, but so does João Neves. But now that I'm looking at João Neves, I can't remember how good Vitinha looks like. Let's compare them. Oh, wait, I can't. Why can't we do that? Now, a few of the next things is stuff that I didn't know that it has gone from the game, because maybe I never used it or I just haven't looked for it yet. But apparently you cannot now set up your training for under 21s and under 18s to play the same tactic as you, or something along the train line. There's just no ability to do that, which, again, if it was in the game before, why can't you do it now? I know a lot of people have been talking about like the chalkboard in when you're playing games, or like the pass maps, like that's gone, and I don't know the reason why that's gone. Again, like saving your squad. You used to be able to like save your 11 so that, you know, whenever you had like a cup game, you could load through the 11 so that it would just be a really easy thing instead of having to go through and rotate every single player. Or your first 11, you could save your strongest 11 so that, again, when everybody was fit, you could just press this and load in a selected 11 to play. And now that ability's gone as well. And I'm so unsure as to why they would take that out. Now, there's a Reddit post who has actually collated everything that has either been fully removed or partly removed for FM26. And a lot of this, I don't think has ever been referenced again by Football Manager. And it mentions it here, look, a ton of quality of life changes that have gone backwards 15 years for no reason, apparently. And I'm sorry, but I agree. I really do agree. As much as I loved the times that I've been playing this FM26, like there's been times that I've really loved the new changes and stuff. There's so many things that I really miss already, and we're unsure why. Now, this list is massive. This is such a big list, and I think maybe ability to remove and exclude from negotiations. That's been crossed out. Should that be crossed out? Because that's something, again, that I can't remove and then like exclude it if they want to have a percentage of the next transfer. I can't find a way of not doing that. But then maybe that's just somewhere else. But again, it's not been referenced. But look at all the stuff that's been removed and changed. And it's such a shame. I don't know why. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm not hating on Football Manager. I'm really not, because they've had a difficult time moving to Unity Engine. I understand that. And we are in early access or advanced access beta. So we shouldn't be complaining too much about the stuff. But all of that isn't going to get fixed within a week or brought back in. And there's a lot of stuff, again, that they've been removed that we just never been referenced. And it goes back to, obviously, when we found out about the international management just being removed. And we found out from a Korean news article about it, and obviously Miles has referenced it will be coming back, and the news that they've got like FIFA licenses, which again is fantastic. Any new licenses to the game is amazing, but I really want to love this game, because I mean, if we're going back to what's really good about the game and stuff like the visualizer and the graphics of the game, and to be honest, the way that the skin looks is better than the default skin. It's just obviously how it plays out is a little bit unpractical and slightly unconventional in terms of how people expect it to work. The basis of a good game is really here, but I feel like you're really going backwards if you're taking out so much quality of life stuff. The fact, again, that you cannot change the attribute colors and they're so similar. Again, whoever decided to make it yellow and green was really stupid, because it's so similar, it's unbelievable. And how we cannot save a file in a different folder now, I cannot understand it whatsoever. On a PC, which should never happen. It's never been that case. So I don't understand why it's the case for this game. I understand if it's on console, obviously, where would you save it on a console? But for a PC game, like, that's mental. But I don't know. What's your thoughts? Am I overreacting ever so slightly? I mean, I'm fine with you thinking that I am, to be honest. And I understand, yeah, we're in early access beta. I get that. But there's so many changes that I just wish that just weren't changed. I'd love to know your thoughts. Just don't be knobs about it in the comments.